All right. Hey, y'all. Welcome to Running from 40. And today I'd like to talk to you about running when you're sick. You know, if you should do it, if you do it, how you do it. And a lot of people are familiar with the idea of the neck rule. So if the sickness is above your neck, you got a stuffy nose or a headache, then you might be all right to run or exercise. If the sickness seems to be below your neck, like you got the stomach bug or something bronchial or even a fever, which, is in your head, but it affects the whole body. You get body aches and chills and all that. Then it's probably not a good idea to run. So I think that's a fine tool to have in your toolbox when you're thinking about whether or not you should run when you're not feeling well. You wake up, you don't feel great, and you're thinking it through whether or not you should go for a run. All right, but I like to actually use something else even better. These aren't mutually exclusive, but I like to simply consider how I feel. And what do I mean by that? Is my body up to it? Do I feel like running? And I don't mean to say that I'm consulting my feelings. I actually am talking more about a gut feeling. I'm not saying you should ask yourself, do you feel you should run? It's more like, do you really want to run? Are you rearing to go? Not because you're concerned about fitness losses, but because you really want to run, kind of chomping at the bit. And the idea of running brings you some joy. It sounds like something that you would enjoy doing. When I'm talking about this gut feeling, we're getting away from the amygdala. We're getting away from the part of our brain that generates fear and anxiety and these emotions that may obscure our ability to reason. And although it is somewhat of a subjective consideration, it's not just based in how you feel or how your emotions are responding to a situation. So again, depending on your personality type, it may look like, well, I'm a hard charger. I really feel like I should run. But what's behind that is more, I don't want to lose fitness. I'm somebody who's always pushing it. I'm somebody who thinks I'm not going to be as good or as fast and strong if I don't push it. I'm not saying to do that. It's more so evaluating, well, how would I feel if I went out and went for a run? Just kind of thinking about what that would do to you. Do you think it would make you feel worse? Or would you feel better, happier, and whatnot? No matter what, when you're sick, you're gonna lose fitness. It's just the way it goes. But I will say that I think you will lose less fitness if you rest, recover, and allow your body an opportunity to heal. So in the long run, I think it's just a much smarter route. Now, let's say you made the decision that you can go for a run when you're experiencing illness or you're just feeling run down. Then the next logical question is, well, how do I do it? Do I run the same as I always would? Well, I'm going to use a personal anecdote to answer that question. And let me say here real quick, I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving medical advice. And a healthcare professional who's acquainted with you and your personal situation is always going to be better able to give you specific advice. But I'm just sharing what I've learned and what others have told me that's been helpful. So again, using a personal anecdote to explain how to run once you've decided that it's okay to run. I'll go back to April, go to last spring, and I've been sick. Our family had been sick all winter long. I was tired of not being able to run, and my sickness was pretty mild, so I decided to go for it. I went out and my heart rate was high. I tried to stick to my MAF heart rate, but my heart rate was high. I was struggling because I was trying to keep my pace where it normally would be at that heart rate. And my heart rate just kept on rising. And instead of just bringing it down, I kind of made a compromise. My heart rate went a little higher. My pace wasn't as good still as it normally was if I was healthy. And by the end of my run, I didn't feel good. It was not an enjoyable experience. I felt run down and tired afterwards. And so I posted it on Strava, and a friend wisely recommended that if you're going to run while you're sick, if you decide that it's okay to do so, bring that heart rate down. My MAF heart rate is around 140. He said don't go over 130. So anyhow, I went out the next day and put his advice into practice, and I didn't go over 130. I didn't even get close to it. I think I stayed below 125. And I'll tell you what, I got done with that run. I felt good. It was a more efficient run. My pace wasn't much slower than the previous day, although my heart rate was like 20 beats per minute lower. And what was really interesting is throughout that week, I actually saw improvement. So, I mean, the story makes sense. The heart rate is an indicator. It's biofeedback on how stressed your body might be in a given exercise environment. And so, you know, if you've decided that it's okay and it's safe and it makes sense for you to run, then I would recommend just dialing it back. Using that heart rate as a good biofeedback. And if you're normally at, using my example of 140, then keep it below 130. Treat that as a max. Treat that as a red line. Do not go over. And I think not only are you going to not make yourself more sick, you might even notice that you don't lose fitness the same way you would if you just sat there. Now, I just got over COVID for, I didn't run for almost 2 weeks. And I went out for my first real run today. And I took it easy. But it went pretty well. I ended up running right around my MAF heart rate, a little bit below at times. And my pace was about 30, maybe 40 seconds slower than it has been when I'm healthy. So I was actually really happy with that. And I felt good afterwards, and I feel good now. And so anyhow, those are some things for y'all to consider. I hope it's helpful to you. I appreciate you watching the video. And until next time, I hope y'all stay safe and healthy, and take care, y'all.